Every time we think there's already enough studies telling us how great creatine is, another study comes along to remind us that there is no such thing as enough in science. And this time, we're shifting our focus to something we don't often associate with creatine, and that is body fat. Let's see what this is all about. Again, creatine isn't much known for its effect on body fat. Mostly it's known for its impact on exercise performance and, to a lesser extent, muscle growth. So can creatine supplementation indeed also affect our body fat composition? Well, based on this new study, the answer is maybe, but not exactly in a traditional sense. First, a quick breakdown. This study is a meta-analysis that combined and analyzed the data of 12 relevant creatine studies, tallying 266 total participants. The analysis specifically focused on studies with participants under the age of 50 and included a resistance training intervention. The primary outcomes measured were body fat percentage and fat mass. And now for the results. Compared to resistance training alone, resistance training with creatine supplementation led to a small but statistically significant 1.19% greater reduction in body fat percentage. Not too shabby, and one would think this clearly shows that creatine can at least somewhat help with body fat. Well, until we realized that the results also showed that creatine supplementation did not lead to a greater reduction in actual losses in fat mass. So what does this mean? Well, if body fat percentage did reduce more, yet fat mass did not, then that simply means that the opposing piece of the body fat percentage equation must have gone up. And in that case, it would be fat-free mass, which is commonly, but not always correctly, interchangeable with changes in muscle mass. That's right, the only way for the participants taking creatine to have greater reductions in body fat percentage was by having greater increases in muscle, which we kind of already knew creatine can do. So does that mean that this new study essentially tells us nothing new? In a sense, yes, but there are some caveats to consider. First, it's never a bad thing to have data directly measuring a specific outcome regardless of whether we can already imply the results based on existing outcomes. There's nothing ever really wrong with having more data. But also, the greater increases in muscle mass doesn't explain the results entirely. You see, muscle growth is normally done under an anabolic environment, which is normally created by consuming more nutrients than your body needs or eating any calorie surplus. And with a surplus, you can see greater increases in muscle mass, but it also has a propensity to increase fat mass. So the fact that this study showed an increase in muscle but not an increase in fat does suggest that there might be a bit more going on. Could it be that creatine does provide something extra? Or maybe it's just creatine improving performance, which can lead to more calories burned. The researchers here did not have a clear explanation for this, which funnily enough means we need even more research on creatine still. But not only that, these findings do not cover the most common scenario for people trying to reduce their fat mass in the first place, and that is being on a weight loss diet and probably doing cardio to create a calorie deficit. If we add creatine to that mix instead, would we see even better fat loss results? Again, that means more research is needed. And for the sake of transparency, I do want to point out that some authors of this study do have several conflicts of interest pertaining to the creatine supplement industry. Now, that doesn't necessarily negate the findings, but it is worth considering when interpreting the data. That said, again, I want to reiterate that new data is always a good thing regardless of the outcome, and as we see now with the results of this new study, it actually presents a few more useful questions that researchers can attempt to answer down the line. In the end, whether you want to take creatine to improve your fat composition is up to you, but unfortunately, the science isn't backing you up on that just yet. Hey, at least the added muscle mass is better than nothing. If you enjoyed this video, please give it an ergogenic thumbs up and share it with your creatine-loving friends. Subscribe for more and let me know what you think about the research in the comments. As always, thank you for watching and don't forget to get your protein.